I'm Peter Brown, and you're watching Futbol Miami TV's Local News. One of the biggest opposition groups to Miami Freedom Park was a group of orange shirt wearing First Tee program operators, members, and supporters. As of Tuesday, those orange shirt wearing folks are smiling as Jorge Mas has kept his promise to find this great program a new home. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, Jorge Mas, and Charles DeLuca III held a press conference to announce that Mas will pay $3 million to help facilitate the program's move. DeLuca, who is the owner of the company that operates Melreese, was ecstatic, saying that we're not leaving. We're going to be present in the parks, in the schools, so First Tee will live and only better. No official announcement has been made as to where First Tee will be moved, but the thought is that it will end up at Shula's Golf Club in Miami Lakes. I made another trip over to Lockhart to see the progress made in 1 week. Last week we showed that the south stands and the press box were still standing. This week it's all gone. Only one lonely building stands. I'm pretty sure that's the old locker rooms, but it's a little hard to tell when everything else is gone. You lose your bearings a little bit. Next month, we should start to see the foundation work begin. They're working around the clock on the plans for the stadium design and overtime on the demolition as they were working on Saturday. For those of you concerned about losing the rich soccer history that Lockhart represents, don't worry. Jorge Mas has committed to honoring that long history, knowing that Lockhart is the heartbeat of soccer in South Florida. Inter Miami is thinking of ways to honor the rich South Florida soccer history from the very beginning to now with a Soccer Hall of Fame. That's right. There is space right next to the stadium at Freedom Park, this glass enclosure that's already been reserved. It'll be really, really cool to see a South Florida Soccer Hall of Fame showing the Miami Gatos, Toros, Strikers, Freedom, Sharks, Fusion, and many more. Jorge Mas was recently a guest on the Big O Show. On 1210 The Man, we love Big O, who has been a strong soccer supporter in South Florida, friend of this channel. O brought up why Mas decided to close on the remaining 3 acres of the Overtown site. We spoke at great length last week about one of the reasons they may be taking advantage, and that is some sales tax breaks, or some tax breaks. Can't blame anyone for that. That's just smart business. Here's a clip from the Big O Show where Jorge Mas talks whether or not Overtown is Plan B.
Let me ask you something, because it seems like una locura, okay? I gotta say it in Spanish already. That's kind of crazy. Why in the hell would you close on the Overtown site when you probably could pay less and still keep the deal alive? I mean, you're working on 3 sites, dude. That's ballsy, but why even stay on the Overtown thing when you actually didn't even like it from the get-go?
No, and it's not the right site. It isn't. But, listen, a lot of people call us, nuts and stubborn, but that was a contract entered into Big O previous to my involvement, executed in early 2017 between the team and the county for 3 acres there in order to be able to have a 9.5 acre site that will do the stadium. We won the Matheson lawsuit, which is the only thing that prevented the closing. We're closing really just to honor the contract. And frankly, a lot of people have asked me, is that Plan B? I really only have one plan. I'm 100% focused on Miami Freedom Park. If something happened and the stadium would have to end up there, it could be a Plan B, but it's not my Plan B. I don't think that's the right site for a stadium for a multitude of reasons, which I've told you and your listeners before. So 100% on Miami Freedom Park. We close on the Overtown site. We'll figure it out. What we do there, we'll do something. If it's not a stadium, we'll do something great there for the community, which we're super focused on.
As you can hear, Inter Miami's plans are still 100% focused on Freedom Park, with Overtown being the worst case scenario. The MLS permit filing deadline wasn't talked about, but it is another reason for the closing on the Overtown land. And they also requested permits. Great news came out of the Big O Show interview when Jorge Mas talked about the amount of season ticket deposits being put down. In his words, the amount of deposits is mind-blowing. So if you were thinking about waiting to make your season ticket deposits, I wouldn't wait. There's talk about having to alter the stadium plans to include more club seats. So don't wait. Go to the InterMiamiCF.com and get your tickets now. David Beckham showed up this weekend to take a look at his Inter Miami Academy players at Central Broward Stadium. For David Beckham, the academy is the most important aspect of owning this team, as he tries to replicate the type of academy that he went to in his younger days with Manchester United. Who will be the next South Florida soccer star? Time will tell. I don't know. But with the academy staff they have hired, the players are in good hands. But the question is, how nervous do you think those kids were playing in front of David Beckham? I'd be scared. It's got to be nerve-wracking. That's all I could say. Speaking of future players, we all like to talk about who the potential designated players may be for Inter Miami. And we know there will be 3 in year 1. It's fun to throw out so many big names and debate about whether or not these players will come to Miami to play in MLS. That's part of the fun. But what we need to start talking about are those other players, the players that are already in MLS. The MLS Journeymen, for example. Every new MLS club has the opportunity to take part in the expansion draft, where unprotected players can be taken by the new expansion teams. Both Miami and Nashville will participate in this draft. Now, we don't know who will be protected and who won't be. So let's just talk about who we might want that has MLS experience, as this is vitally important when building a team. This player needs to be able to play alongside some big stars. For example, Atlanta brought in players like Michael Parkhurst and Jeff Lorenowitz, both big parts in Atlanta's success, both with lots of MLS experience. It's time for us to go through the MLS rosters and find the MLS players we want to steal. The name I keep coming back to, and this probably is impossible, but it's Kyle Beckerman. He's at the tail end of his career and probably only has a couple more years left, but I think he is someone that brings grit and experience. He could play next to any star and not be intimidated or overshadowed. He knows the league inside and out, and he understands the rigors of travel in this coast-to-coast league. Why not bring him back to where it all started for him? He started his MLS career as a Project 40 player for the Miami Fusion, playing on the famed Lockhart pitch, playing under Fusion head coach Rocky Ray Hudson. So I say, bring him home. Even if this really isn't his home, he could buy a new one. Your homework this week is to come up with your MLS Journeyman wish list. Those players that will be the foundation of this team. Throw some names in the comments below and tell us why you want this player. We'll discuss it next week. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.